country.
And the president says revoking the rule will now benefit car makers and make cars more affordable for buyers. Correspondent Alex Vega reports on sliding U.S. mortgage rates.
Mortgage buyer Freddie Mac says the average rate on a 30-year mortgage fell this week to 6.09%. The pullback reverses an uptick in recent weeks, just as the housing market closes in on the spring home buying season. I'm Alex Vega.
It was a losing session on Wall Street at the closing bell. The Dow Jones Industrial Average down by 669 points. S&P 500 off by 108, and the NASDAQ down 469. For the Wall Street Business Report, I'm Bob Agnew.
News and analysis at townhall.com.
On Point Weather, brought to you by our friends at Palmetto State Armory.
On 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Clear and chilly this evening, a low temperature dipping down to 35. Tomorrow, another beautiful day. Plentiful sunshine, a high temperature reaching 59. The weekend clouds up for us on Saturday for Valentine's Day with a warm temperature of 65. While on Sunday, it's a rainout. Showers off and on all day. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
From the Bart Fireside Studio, the solution for keeping you warm this winter.
This is 107 The Point.
This is The Point.
Make thepointradio.com.
The Point.
This is Sports Talk with Phil Kornblut and Chris Bergen. Sports Talk is heard across the state on radio affiliates of the Sports Talk Media Network and is streaming live on SportsTalkSC.com, as well as Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. The South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to call in is 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now, here are Phil and Chris with tonight's edition of Sports Talk.
Welcome in, big Thursday night edition. Sports Talk Media Network. Great to have you with us. Phil Kornblut, the plumber, Josh Cohen. No Bergie tonight. Bergie's on the call tonight. Coastal Carolina down in Louisiana. Clemson last night. Just when you thought they were really, really on top of their game, they laid an egg last night at home. It's not going to help the Tigers, unless they, of course, win the ACC regular season championship, tournament championship. I mean, they're going to get into the tournament as things stand now, unless they just totally collapse. But you're thinking about seeding, and, man, the committee's going to look at 2 home losses to teams below them in the ACC, below them in the net, and that's not going to impress anybody when it comes to that. So that's one of those losses that will impact your seeding. You know, they were sort of edging up towards a 6 and towards not quite a 5, but the bracketologists were putting them in the East and getting them closer to home instead of out on the West Coast, instead of out in Portland and places like that. You don't want to go. So that was a costly loss from that standpoint. And also, of course, it knocks the Tigers out of the tie for first in the ACC with Puke. Now, they can retie Puke Saturday, noon, in Cameron Indoor Stadium, but they're going to have to play some terrific basketball to beat Duke at home. Duke's been gone for a little while, too, so those fans are going to be welcoming for Duke and be very excited, of course, as they always are at Cameron Indoor Stadium. Going to go to that game, going to be there. It's been a few years since I've been to a Clemson game at Duke for scheduling reasons and timing of the game, so this works out perfectly. So I'm looking forward to making the trip up to Durham and sitting. You know what? The media sits along the sideline at Cameron Indoor Stadium. They actually have a legitimate press row still. They haven't sold their soul to the almighty dollar in every possible way. You know, some schools still believe that the sport is the thing. Now, look, don't get me wrong. Duke is spending a ton of money on their basketball players and their football players. I mean, they had a $4 million quarterback. But looking at it selfishly from a media standpoint, they left that there with the students leaning right on top of your backs. The students are touching you. They're right on top of you. They're breathing on you. But they're very respectful. They're very respectful because they know that the media are there working, and they can lean over and they can shake their hands, their arms at the opposing teams, reaching through the media and over the heads and all that kind of stuff. But they're very respectful, very respectful. So looking forward to that on Saturday. Tonight we will hear from Brad Brownell in the little post-game. Paul Mainieri, a South Carolina baseball coach, met with the media. We'll get to that here in just a little bit as the Gamecocks begin season number 2 under Paul Mainieri. And, gosh, he's an optimistic sort. He believes his team will be better than it was last year. Hates the fact that they're missing a couple of arms to start the season, one for the season. Another they'll get back. They're also missing a player who would have been a starter for them, Craddock. He's out for a little while. So they've had some injuries again, but it seems like everybody's got him. Clemson's got him as well. So there is optimism over there about this coming season, but he knows that he's got to beat Clemson. He's got to win that series against Clemson in a couple of weeks just to kind of win people over. I say it's the understatement of the year to say that Gamecock baseball fans in general right now aren't sold on Paul Mainieri, despite his unbelievable record. They're not sold on Paul Mainieri. So he needs to beat Clemson in a couple of weeks. That will win people over. And then he's got to go, of course, get off to a good start in SEC play. I think the first series is against Florida. So it's going to be tough every weekend in the SEC. There's no reason to sit here and say, well, they could win that series, they could win that series. Nah, they're going to have to go out and play great baseball. So I'm looking forward to that. They got a doubleheader tomorrow against Northern Kentucky, the Norse. Clemson opens up, of course, at home against the Army. We heard from Coach Bakich last night. If you missed any of our interview with Coach Bakich, Eric Bakich, it's on our website, and it's also on SoundCloud and where we keep our podcast. You can catch it there. All right, so we got Mainieri coming up for you. 7:05, we shift gears to basketball. Again, we go back from basketball to baseball, back to basketball. Hardwood with Coach Ken Potosnak, 7:05. He'll be with us. Looking forward to talking hoops with him, college hoops. And then 7:35, we welcome back to the program Coach John Combs, South Carolina Basketball Coaches Association, and a coach himself to talk high school basketball the rest of the way this season as the high school basketball season is heading towards home in the regular season, region championships being decided, playoff seeds being determined. The state tournament will be upon us here before you know it. And so he'll be with us the rest of the way to talk about what's happening on the high school level for boys and girls basketball. Okay, so that is what we have for you tonight, along with recruiting. And our phone number is 888-898-2525, 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery Lucky number. You feel like sending us a text message instead, you can do that very simply, 803-900-4847, 803-900-4847. That's how you can reach us there, so go ahead and shoot us a text message. Also, the plumber's keeping an eye on the social media feeds of Facebook and YouTube, other ways of communicating to us. He checks out smoke signals and anything else, any other way you want to communicate.
The telegraph.
The telegraph, yeah, we still have
Morse
a telegraph
code.
wire.
Morse code.
The
pigeon.
Yeah. The message in a bottle.
Yeah, we do get those often.
Message in a bottle. So any way you want to
Broad River sometimes.
Any way that you want to communicate with us, we're good with that. To tip things off tonight, we'll use basketball terminology. Just welcome in Justin Mathis, who covered Clemson for us last night at Little John Coliseum. He fills in for us up there when we can't get there. So let's welcome Justin back to Sports Talk. Great job last night. Not the finish Clemson fans obviously were hoping for. What happened there? How did you see it in the last 4 or 5 minutes there when Virginia Tech took that game over?
I'll be honest with you, Phil. For Virginia Tech, I have to kind of go back to something Coach Young said. He hit the nail on the head. He said it better than I could. He pointed out that Virginia Tech, they did an excellent job of guarding. And I feel like that was the big difference last night for the Hokies down the stretch. That forced Clemson to go cold down the last 4 minutes up to, I think it was around 7 minutes, they only made 3 shots down the stretch, and that's a big part of it. Virginia Tech's defense is just so stingy, and that's something you come to expect from a Mike Young ball club.
Something else very interesting last night about Clemson is that their starters, except for Welling, who had 19, he was their only starter in double figures. They got 35 points off the bench with Davidson and Buckner combining for 32. I mean, I guess you don't really care where it comes from, but it's a little unusual. And for the second straight game, Hunter Dillon was not effective at all. I'm sorry, Dylan Hunter was not effective at all offensively. He only had 1 point. So the starting group, from a scoring standpoint, except for Welling, they were pretty much missing in action last night.
Yeah, and that was something that also jumped out to me. So you went exactly where I was going to go. Dylan Hunter, you remember, I think it was last year or season before, where he went out with that hand injury, and everybody's talking about how important he was to the Clemson ball club. But last night he was there out on the court, but production-wise, nowhere to be found. And you have to imagine if he scores at least 8, maybe 10 points, we're talking overtime, potentially a Clemson win if him and a couple of other guys were able to stay consistent.
Tigers gave up 11 threes last night to Virginia Tech, 11 of 21, and Clemson was only 5 of 16, so a big difference there. A big difference at the foul line, too, because Virginia Tech was 13 of 13, but Clemson, they only outscored Clemson by 2 at the foul line, but Clemson left 7 points at the line, 11 of 18, so things the Tigers could have done a little bit better to maybe win this game. They just didn't get done.
Yeah, and then that's something I always look at, Bill. That's one of the stats I look at is free throw shooting, because that's something I was preached to when I was a kid playing basketball in rec leagues and whatnot. They're called free throws for a reason. You've got to knock them down. They're one of the easiest shots in all of basketball. Nobody's guarding you. You're standing there stationary. And it's like Charlie Munson, who used to be a longtime radio morning host up here in the upstate, said, remember, kids, always practice the free throws. And that came back to bite the Tigers last night. Let's see if they can improve on that on Saturday.
Only 6 assists for Clemson as well. Was the ball sticking with them on offense? I mean, they've been so good at sharing the basketball, making the extra pass, finding the open man, the skip pass, and the ball moving, but only 6 assists last night. Was the ball sticking a little more in the hands and not moving as quickly?
I would say that, and there were some times where Clemson just made bad passes straight up. Like, Clemson just could not. There was times where they were in a groove offensively, and then the next thing you know, there's 2 or 3 bad passes that resulted in turnovers, and the Hokies were able to cash in on those turnovers, turn them into points the other way. I mean, they were a little bit sloppy, especially in that. There was a stretch in that second half, about 5 or 6 minutes, where they just, for whatever reason, they were just turning it over. That did nothing but help the Hokies.
So, tough loss for the Tigers. How was it in the post game? You were there to listen to Brad Brunell. We'll hear from him. And also Mike Young, still a favorite of basketball folks in South Carolina from his work at Wofford. How were the two coaches afterwards?
Well, Mike Young was very complimentary of Brad Brownell. Coach Young was asked by one reporter, I can't remember who it was, but asked Coach Young about the job Brad has done, was only bringing back, 2 guys from last year's team. And Mike Young said, quote, I think it's a master class, what he's done. And he also went on to say, well, I heard back during the fall from a couple people Clemson didn't look good, but he said, well, I've heard that before. I know the guy that's blowing the whistle, they'll be just fine. But, yeah, Brad and Coach Brownell, as you imagine, he's very disappointed in what he saw, but he said, look, he was very he said this on a couple of occasions, that he did not blame the West Coast trip. He just said, look, it's just Virginia Tech being better than us on last night. That's exactly what he said. He was asked about that 1 or 2 times. So he just said, look, it wasn't the West Coast trip, it's just Virginia Tech was better. Yeah, Coach Young Go ahead, go ahead, Bill.
You
Sorry.
sound like you're at a basketball game tonight.
Oh, hey, the grind doesn't stop, Bill. I'm up here covering some Region 3, 3A basketball. Got a region championship on the line in the boys' game between Mountain View and Chapman. Also in the girls' game that's going on right now, Chapman girls are playing for an undefeated region season, which would be back-to-back years of doing so. They've already claimed the region title. So I love multitasking. It tests my brain a little bit. I love this kind of stuff, man.
All right.
Also, can I say one quick
Yeah,
thing
go
about
ahead.
Coach Young before I go?
Sure, wrap it up.
At the end of his press conference last night, you know how Coach Young is. He's very gracious and everything. He said, quote, "Best wishes, everybody. I don't have to come back to the upstate for 2 years."
He was happy about that.
Kind of like, oh yeah.
Well, he got his win. He could take it back with him to the mountains of Virginia. Okay, Justin, thank you, man. I'll let you get back to your high school game. Appreciate it. We'll talk to you again soon.
Yes, sir. Y'all be blessed.
You too, buddy. All right, Justin Mathis from up there in the upstate. Man, we got this breaking news on the Trinidad Chambliss injunction decision by the judge, Robert Whitwell. Reading coverage here from Ross Dellinger. Based on Judge Robert Whitwell's order, which he is reading live in the courtroom, he plans to grant Chambliss's injunction. However, he has not specifically revealed the decision. This was a few minutes ago. To give you an idea of the situation, the NCAA's counsel has already left the courtroom. So it looks like Chambliss is going to get his injunction and have another year to play quarterback at Ole Miss. Be back in a moment.
Too tough to tame? Try too rough to ride. Nothing about this place lets you sit back. It rips up your tires and tears at your heart. Glory, consequences. That's Darlington, where stripes are well earned. The Goodyear 400. NASCAR's best face the lady in black. And this spring, how about that? She'll leave her mark. Hell yeah, boys! NASCAR weekend at Darlington Raceway. March 20th through the 22nd. Get your tickets now at darlingtonraceway.com.
It might be tough to picture your kid in college today, but it'll be here before you know it. Future Scholar, South Carolina's 529 college savings plan, makes it easy to start saving right now. You can start with any amount. Savings grow tax-free, and friends and family can chip in too. Discover the smart, easy way to save today at futurescholar.com. That's futurescholar.com. That's futurescholar.com.
Major Billy Downer here from the Department of Natural Resources, and DNR is excited to announce the implementation of Go Outdoors SC, a new online licensing and boat titling system that you can access right from your phone. Through this new system, customers can purchase their hunting and fishing licenses, renew their boats, apply for lottery hunt opportunities, and complete electronic harvest reporting requirements. For more information, visit Go Outdoors SC at your local app store.
Hi, I'm attorney Jim Corbett. For over 35 years, I've been handling claims and cases for individuals and small businesses. I've now been a mediator for more than 10 years. Let me put that experience to work for you. Like if you're injured in a wreck or on the job or at someone else's place, anytime you should get reimbursed or compensated. Jim Corbett, 803-765-2968 or jim@jimcorbettattorney.com. Corbett with an E, and the initial consultation is free. Jim Corbett to settle your claims, avoid a lawsuit, or go to trial.
Don't regret that I was Thursday's child. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, born I was.
That's the
whipped us. Questions for me?
Hey, Coach, did you do anything different in your preparation coming off your West Coast trip into this game?
Yeah, we didn't do anything Monday morning, which we normally do after games. We did not practice really much physically on Monday afternoon, which normally we'd have more of a physical practice. And we were even a little bit lighter yesterday, just trying to save our legs and be ready. I don't want it to be, the story is not that Clemson came back from the West Coast and whatever. Like, we got beat by a good team tonight who outplayed us. No excuses.
Mike Young talked about being able to neutralize R.J. Godfrey. Just what did you kind of see from that standpoint?
Yeah, I'd have to watch. We have 3 good post players, so, it's not like we just go to R.J. If R.J. has a good matchup, is playing well, he gets the ball. If Nick or Carter doing the same thing, it's either one of them. Those 2 guys both played well. R.J. made a couple baskets early, I thought, and maybe they did a good job of limiting some of his touches, but he had 7 and Nick had 9 and Carter had 11 shots. That's 27 shots out of our inside attack, and I don't think our perimeter players played very well tonight. Ace played well, and I don't know beyond that who played very well for us on the perimeter, and their perimeter guys did play well, and I thought it was more that than maybe RJ.
What do you feel like Justin has to do to get going offensively?
I don't know. He's got to finish some plays. Some of it's just finishing. He's getting the ball to some decent spots. He missed a layup today and got a couple shots in the paint area. He didn't score, but he'll get going. He's fine. He's a good player, and he's done such a good job for us defensively throughout the year. I'm really proud of how he's improved defensively and the effort that he gives. But tonight he would just, last game or 2 he hasn't finished as well, and obviously they guarded him very hard. Hammonds was all over him everywhere he went, and so that opened more space for other players and some of our post players, and we just weren't able to get enough other things done.
They kept getting some back doors early in the game. What was happening there?
It was more pick and roll stuff. One of them was, Nick's made a terrible pick and roll defensive play, and they got behind us and lobbed it and dunked it. Carter stepped out when he wasn't supposed to step out. They got behind us and got one up on the rim. Those are 2 that just stick out. Those are mental errors because that's not what we were trying to do, and that part's disappointing. But it's part of basketball, and again, give their guys a lot of credit. They capitalized when we made mistakes.
Coach, it seemed like you guys played a little bit more of 3 guards in that second half. Was that just to try and keep up with the pace of Virginia Tech?
Yeah, a little bit of both. I just didn't feel like Jake and Butta were playing as well, and Ace was playing well, and their speed certainly, had been a factor at times, and so we just wanted to counter with our 3-guard lineup. We've done it some, and it started well, and then we had a couple bad plays in a row, and all of a sudden the lead went right back to 8 again. And but all in all, Ace did a lot of good things for us.
With Carter, I guess, were you surprised he was able to get back?
Yeah, I know it was a pretty good sprain, but they said, hey, he's probably not going to be 100%, but he wants to try. And so I thought he fought pretty good. Now what that's going to look like tomorrow, I don't know, but proud of him for trying to get back out there and fight.
All right, there you go. Brad Brownell, after a nice run of everything going their way, not last night for the Tigers. So they got to get regrouped and ready to go to Duke for a noon tip on Saturday. A little bit more on the Chambliss story. Apparently it's still unfolding there in Mississippi, where a Judge Whitewell, this reporter says, hammering the NCAA in his verdict. He said the NCAA's decision to deny Chambliss was based on semantics. The judge also said the NCAA failed the Ole Miss quarterback in his pursuit of an additional year. Nothing is official yet, but it looks like Chambliss is getting that injunction. This was posted about 6 or 7 minutes ago from a reporter there in Mississippi. We'll be right back.
On Point Weather, brought to you by our friends at Palmetto State Armory.
On 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Clear and chilly this evening. A low temperature dipping down to 35. Tomorrow, another beautiful day. Plentiful sunshine. A high temperature reaching 59. The weekend clouds up for us on Saturday for Valentine's Day with a warm temperature of 65. While on Sunday, it's a rainout. Showers off and on all day. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
Hey y'all, this is Ted from Flight Deck Restaurant. We'd like to invite you and your family to dine with us. We have a great menu that's sure to please your whole family. We have fresh cooked burgers, big juicy wings, blue plate menu featuring country cooking, oven-baked hoagies, fresh, crisp salads, authentic Greek food like gyros, souvlaki, and baklava. We also carry 20 different premium cheesecakes and pies. Flight Deck Restaurant also has an arcade with 30 different games like Star Wars, Batman, Skee-Ball, Bass Wheel, Pac-Man, Galaga, and so much more. Flight Deck, your favorite family restaurant. Thanks y'all and God bless.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. A shutdown for the Department of Homeland Security appears certain. Lawmakers in the House and Senate are set to leave Washington for a 10-day break, while negotiations with the White House over Democrats' demands for new restrictions have stalled. The White House and Democrats have traded offers in recent days. A federal judge has blocked the Pentagon from punishing Democratic Senator Mark Kelly, a former U.S. Navy pilot, for participating in a video that called on troops to resist unlawful orders. U.S. District Judge Richard Leon ruled Thursday that Pentagon officials have violated Kelly's First Amendment free speech rights. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 669 points, the Nasdaq dropped 469, the S&P lower by 108. More details at srnnews.com.
Are you tired of that dripping faucet driving you crazy? Is your drain doing more of a gurgle than a flow? Don't despair. Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning is here to save your day. Serving our community as locally owned plumbing experts, Franklin Plumbing tackles everything from minor leaks to major clogs. And we're talking fast, friendly, reliable service. They respect your home. They respect your wallet. Josh and his team offer upfront pricing, and that's important. This team I'm talking about, they're fully licensed. They're insured technicians. They're ready for any plumbing crisis that you might encounter. Whether it's routine maintenance, a stubborn blockage, or a total plumbing overhaul, they'll get the job done right the first time. They've been out to my home, my brother's home, even his business. I'm comfortable, very comfortable, bragging on Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning. Stop letting plumbing problems disrupt your life. Call Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning today and experience the difference that true expertise makes. Visit the website, franklinplumbing.sc.com, or give them a call, 799-2222. That's 799-2222. Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning.
When storms hit the Midlands, who do you trust to keep your family safe and dry? Shingos Now, your local family-owned pros. Charlie and Rodney, both GAF Master Elite contractors, deliver honest, top-quality roof repairs and replacements. Licensed, insured, and proud to offer free inspections and estimates, we make protection stress-free and affordable. You can count on Shingos Now, the team that treats you like family. Shingos Now, roof repairs right away. Visit shinglesnow.com today.
When your temperatures swing, your comfort shouldn't. At Sweet Comfort Services, we make sure your system's ready for anything. Get our $99 preventative maintenance, a full inspection and tune-up that keeps your equipment efficient, reliable, and safe. Thinking it's time for an upgrade? We offer estimates on new Goodman and American Standard systems. You'll get honest advice, fair pricing, and expert installation. No gimmicks, no surprises. Call 803-331-8143 or visit sweetcomfortservices.com to schedule today.
If you missed the home equity line of credit offer from Founders Federal Credit Union, we have good news. The offer has been extended, but don't wait. You only have until February 28th to get up to $750 toward closing costs when you open a Founders HELOC. That's more in your pocket for home improvements, debt consolidation, major purchases, unexpected expenses, or a much-needed vacation. The possibilities are endless. Imagine starting a new year with financial flexibility and peace of mind. But hurry, this special offer ends February 28th. Save more and jumpstart your year. Plus, you'll enjoy competitive rates and flexible terms designed to fit your budget. Visit foundersfcu.com/HELOC for more information. Membership qualification required. Institution NMLS. Identifier number 410646. Equal housing lender. See website for details.
Welcome back. It's Sports Talk Media Network on this big Thursday night. Good to have you with us. Phone number 888-898-2525. South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number for you here on Sports Talk. Going to hear from Paul Maneri, South Carolina baseball coach, coming up here in just a few minutes. Let's go to the phones and go to Andy in Columbia. Up with us first tonight here on Sports Talk. Welcome in, Andy. How you doing?
How you doing there, Mr. Korn? Josh? I'm doing well, thank you. A few things I'd like to touch base on and get your comments about. Number one, with the realignment in the high school league, how long is that realignment going to last?
2 years.
What's it?
2 years.
So it's this year coming up and then 1 year after, and then they're going to realign again after that?
Every 2 years, yep.
Because the question I have is, isn't Williston Elko, Blackville, Hilda, and Barnwell, not this year but next year, all going to merge together?
Yes.
And wouldn't that take them all out of 1A? They're all in the same conference right now, correct?
Yes. They will be merging into
1A.
Barnwell County High School. So
are they going to be big enough to go? I mean,
nothing will happen for 2 years.
I'm familiar with Williston and Blackville and Barnwell, but
I don't think it's happening next year. I think it's another year down the road. I don't think so. If we're talking about the beginning of 26,
coming up, it's the year after.
No, I'm not sure it's 27. I'm not sure it's until 28 that's happening.
Because I was told at first from some people who were Williston graduates that it was going to happen this year. Mm-hmm. Then I heard it was pushed back another year.
Yeah,
but maybe So I didn't know what would happen. You think they're going to move up in classification once that happens? Or are they still that small of a base?
According to,
be a single A?
I hate to do this, AI, a new consolidated Barnwell County High School is expected to open for the 28-29 school year, serving as a modern centralized campus for the county. So projected opening, according to this, is 28-29. So that would be in time for the next realignment.
Well, I don't know.
And they will be a bigger school, obviously, because they're going to have more students.
Yeah, well, I figured that, but, there's still not a ton of students down there to start with. I mean, it's kind of small. If you're familiar with the area, it's kind of small. I know people who went to Williston Elko. My father used to have a plant in Blackville, and I'm kind of familiar with Barnwell.
Yeah.
So I kind of know the area.
Yeah.
My other question is, are we going to, once the Nike change, they're not going to be doing spring sports, spring football.
No, I believe that goes into effect with the next academic year. So I think the Under Armour contract runs through this baseball season and whatever the last sporting event is.
Baseball's over.
Yeah, last sporting event could be track and field, goes into June. Golf runs late, but if the baseball team makes it to Omaha, that would be the last event.
I actually went into the bookstore last week, and I asked the people. They said it'll be there early July.
Yeah.
They will have Nike material. I asked because I wanted to see if they were going to sell their, put a big sale on their Under Armour clothing.
How many Cliff Notes did you purchase? How many Cliff Notes books did you purchase?
I bought a lot of Mad Libs.
You bought a lot of what?
Mad Libs. You ever done Mad Libs before?
I've never done Mad Libs, no.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Never heard of it.
Okay.
Do you know what Cliff Notes are?
Corn.
There's a website for them.
Corn.
Yeah.
Corn.
Yes.
How many times did you make honor roll?
Not enough.
Of journalism.
You want me to answer that honestly without bragging?
Yeah.
Multiple times.
I think they keep those. I think they keep those in the library. I think they have.
I actually have the little notification, the little notification they sent you. Yeah.
The little certificate they used to give out.
Yeah.
Well, at least that's what they did at the BA school.
That shouldn't shock anybody, but
I got
multiple
7
times.
myself.
Yeah.
I got 7 myself.
Well, that shocks me, but you shouldn't be shocked by me getting, making the honor roll.
My last comment. You talked about the kid from Mississippi.
Yeah.
Did you hear about the kid? I think Montana or something.
9th year.
Got okayed for his 9th year.
9th year.
I mean,
9th year.
Isn't that getting a little ridiculous already?
I mean, he didn't start playing until 22. He started college back in 18, I think it was, but didn't play anything until 22, and successfully argued for a 9th year. Yep, pretty crazy. That's the problem, because there's just nothing. There's no consistency here between judges and from state to state. I saw today where the legislature in Georgia has approved NIL for high school athletes. So South Carolina now is bordered by 2 states that allow it, North Carolina and Georgia. Both allow high school athletes now to collect money off their NIL.
Well, you think we're the next one to go?
I don't know. I don't know what our legislature is thinking about on that issue. I really don't know. I mean, so far they've been very friendly toward the things that Clemson and South Carolina have asked for about no transparency and hiding the information and not being forced to put that out in the public. So I don't know that the colleges would step up in support of that for the high schools. I don't know what the high school league's position on that would be if it comes to that, if they would listen to the high school league. But you would think that the pressure would be there to force their hand in that favor, But, I mean, are you going to buy a car from a 14-year-old, doing a television commercial telling you to go to, Dick Dyer and buy this Mercedes-Benz from Dick Dyer from a 14-year-old? I mean, I'll pay him to cut my grass. I'm not taking their suggestion on where to go buy my clothes and my groceries, my gas, or my cars. So I don't know. Of course,
the 9-year thing's ridiculous.
I'm being a little bit facetious there, but I mean, obviously, it gives them the right to make money off their name, image, and likeness on social media. They can now start their YouTube channels and their Instagram channels and make their money that way, as so many people do.
Well, I have no problem with the Instagram stuff. I mean, if you want to make money off Instagram, that's long time ago when they denied that kicker, that was the most ridiculous thing, because it has nothing to do with the sport itself.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of individualized. But 9 years, Corn. I just turned 66. This kid's going to be still my age, and still wanting to have eligibility to play football.
He's 26 now. He's 26. 26.
Yeah, like I said, he'll be another 40 years. He'll still be wanting eligibility to play.
Yep.
I mean, come on, it's getting a little ridiculous already. The main thing is, and you've said it, there's really no head of this organization known as the NCAA, and we need someone who can step in, even if it's a Nick Saban or somebody in that kind of thing. They can step in, put their foot down, and drive this bus in the correct direction, because it is a crazy thing that's going on.
Everybody complains. Everybody complains about it. Nobody can do anything about it. Coaches complain about it. They can't do anything about it. They continue to go ahead and do what they have to do to try to win a player over. So, I mean, Ole Miss, you see where their beliefs are based on what their head coach has done and tried to do, what they did with Clemson, what they tried to do at Fresno State, and here they are pushing for another year for their quarterback. He'll be a 6-year guy, and they've won the injunction from a judge in their state, which was that's why it was so shocking that the Alabama judge ruled against the Alabama basketball player, because it was thought that he would go right along with the local team. He's probably what?
He's an Auburn graduate, probably.
Well, maybe he is. I don't know. All right, we got to run, Andy. Thank you very much.
Corn, I met one of your cousins the other day, a couple of weeks ago, who happens to be married to a Citadel grad. Somebody
who happened to claim me as a family member? Those are few and far between.
That's what I said. I said, I really feel sorry for you that you're related
Trying to
the
think,
corn.
what cousin of mine would marry?
But they live here in town.
They married Nancy
She's
Mace?
originally from Charleston.
They married Nancy
What's that?
Mace? They married Nancy Mace? I'm trying to think of Citadel grads
No.
off the top of my head. I'll have to look.
Originally from Charleston.
Mm.
He's from Columbia.
Mm-hmm.
And
I have a lot of cousins.
They've been living here a long while.
I have a lot
I know
of
you got a
cousins.
lot of cousins here in town. I met another. My mother knew one of your cousins.
This is great.
From, up that way.
All right, Andy. Well, thank you, man, before I get into my family history. Appreciate it. Have a good night.
We'll get into your family tree there.
It'll
Corn,
get
have a
chopped
good
down.
one.
Thank
Take
you
care.
very much. All right. Appreciate it. I don't know. Maybe a cousin of mine did marry Nancy May. She's a Citadel grad. I'd accept that. Big famous person in the family. All right, let's hit the break and come back with Palmineri. South Carolina baseball coach. How about this news out of Chapel Hill? Their star forward, Caleb Wilson, out with a fracture, left hand. No specific timetable for his return. About 20 points, 9 rebounds per game. Big loss. And we'll get to this after the break about the Gamecock football player.
Too tough to tame? Try too rough to ride. Nothing about this place lets you sit back. It rips up your tires and tears at your heart. Let's go! History, glory, consequences. That's Darlington, where stripes are well earned. The Goodyear 400. NASCAR's best face the lady in black. And this spring, how about that? She'll leave her mark. Hell yeah, boys! NASCAR weekend at Darlington Raceway, March 20th through the 22nd. Get your tickets now at darlingtonraceway.com.
Just like in college basketball today, sometimes it's about who you bring in off the bench to provide that extra spark. At StraightUpSports.net, we're excited to announce the addition of Brett Friedlander, a longtime ACC insider columnist, to our all-star lineup that includes Bob Gillespie, Scott Kiefer, Mark Sturgis, and more. At StraightUpSports.net, it's always about the stories. Check out this all-star lineup at StraightUpSports.net or at Straight Up Sports on Facebook.
Make your plans now to get to the coast for the Palmetto State's premier baseball showcase. The Classic, March 5th through 8th at Mike Johnson Park in Georgetown. Now in its 36th year, the Classic features the best high school players and teams from across South Carolina. Don't miss your chance to see the state's top Major League Baseball prospects and title contenders at the Classic. Presented by Coastal Chevrolet Cadillac Nissan. There'll be games and contests, including a home run derby throughout the weekend. Visit theclassicgtown.com for tickets and more information. The Classic, showcasing South Carolina's finest in high school baseball, March 5th through the 8th in the state's best ballpark, Mike Johnson Park in Georgetown.
Hi, I'm attorney Jim Corbett. For over 35 years, I've been handling claims and cases for individuals and small businesses. I've now been a mediator for more than 10 years. Let me put that experience to work for you. Like if you're injured in a wreck or on the job or at someone else's place, anytime you should get reimbursed or compensated. Jim Corbett, 803-765-2968 or Jim at jimcorbettattorney.com. Corbett with an E, and the initial consultation is free. Jim Corbett to settle your claims, avoid a lawsuit, or go to trial.
Every lottery ticket purchase keeps education in our state moving forward. In fact, the lottery has raised more than $200 million for state school buses to get our students to school safely every day. Then, the lottery helps those students go even further in their education by funding the Life, Hope, and Palmetto Fellow Scholarships. So remember, when you play the lottery, you're keeping South Carolina students on the road to success. Learn more at sceducationlottery.com/betteryou.
All right, now official. The judge has granted Chambliss his preliminary injunction, giving him another year of eligibility. Also, South Carolina's departed defensive tackle Devontae Miles issued a pretty lengthy apology. We'll go into that in a little bit because I'll give him his credit. Obviously, he did a stupid thing, but I'll give him his credit for standing up and being a man and accepting what he did, accepting responsibility and apologizing to all for his actions that cost him a spot on the team. But right now, Palmineri, South Carolina baseball coach, met with the media today over at Founders Park. Beautiful, beautiful field at Founders Park. It's in great shape, and the stadium is ready to roll. They've got the bunting out, and they're ready for the season opener tomorrow. So is Paul Maneri, who's looking for a bounce-back year.
I think we've got a really good squad put together. Obviously, we've had a couple of tough breaks early in the offseason, losing Jake McCoy for the season. Alex Philpott and Colin Horowitz are going to be a little delayed in getting back with us. They'll be both seeing the doctor on Monday for a reevaluation, and we anticipate that the reevaluation is going to be good, and they'll be able to start their throwing program, and that maybe at the most it'll be 3 weeks before they're ready to start pitching. But outside of that, I think we're relatively healthy, and everybody's excited about playing.
You mentioned the health. How are Evans and Craddock? I think they missed some time this past week.
I forgot about Will. Will will be out this weekend. He's got an abdominal strain. It doesn't sound like much, especially for a young athlete. Now, if you have an abdominal that looks like mine, it might be more of an issue, but it really is significant. So I can tell you this, that he's been throwing, which, when you torque your body, that's actually an accomplishment. And he's been starting to take some dry swings, and actually today for the first time hit off a batting tee. But we have to progress it slowly, otherwise you set yourself back. So I trust our trainer, Corey Barton, completely. He'll tell me when he's ready. Obviously, Will is very disappointed. Will was having a tremendous preseason practice and had hit a couple of long home runs. And I think when he is healthy and ready to go again, that he's going to get some playing time and could make a real impact on our team. Evans is fine, but we have another player out with the flu today, and that's Aaron Jamison. And tell you a little secret, Aaron Jamison was going to be in the starting lineup tomorrow. He's just had a tremendous week of practice. He hit a couple of home runs. He hit really well yesterday, and the thing that we were doing off a pitching machine, throwing him in there about 92 miles an hour, and he was smoking balls all over the field. I feel so bad for the kid. He didn't know he was going to be in the starting lineup in game one, but he was. But I don't think I can put him in the start. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I don't think I can put him in the starting lineup now with him having been sick and also missing today's practice. But we'll see about the Saturday. I know you're going to ask me about the lineup, but we may end up playing 3 different right fielders this weekend. Patrick Evans is one, Luke Uhas, and then Aaron Jamison. So that's one position that's still kind of in flux a little bit. One of the few positions, actually.
How would Paul Maneri in year one as a coach been able to bounce back from what happened last year, as opposed to the one who's been in the business for 41 years? I mean, you've been around the block, so I would think you of all people should be able to navigate that a lot easier than some rookie head coach.
So what you're saying is I'm old. Yeah.
Join the club.
Well, there's advantages about being old. There's obviously disadvantages. I don't have to go over the disadvantages, but the advantages are, you've been through just about everything that's possible to go through. I've coached, almost 2,400 games, I think. We didn't win every one of them. We've had enough success that I've been able to hang in there for 41 years without getting fired. I hope I can keep that record intact after this year. But, you go through some disappointments, and but that tough times don't last, but tough people do, and I don't think anybody's ever questioned my toughness. And I've done it all for the right reasons. I love working with young people. I love representing great universities. I love molding teams and putting them together. And like I said, because you're old, you've been through this. I went through this. I know you're probably tired of me saying it, but I went through this my first year at LSU. And people wondered if they'd hired the right coach in Baton Rouge, believe me, back in 2007 or whatever it was. And the next year we went to Omaha, and the next year we won the national championship. I wish I could promise you that's what's going to happen here. But, obviously a lot of things have to work out and go well. And, all I can tell you is we're going to take it one game at a time. We're going to go out there and play our hearts out every single day. I think we have a very good squad, and when we get Philpott and Horowitz back, I think our pitching depth will even be better. But I think we have a really good squad, and I think the kids have been very coachable. They've got great attitudes. They work really hard, and they're as excited as I am. I know we got a lot of new players, but it's amazing when you put that Gamecocks uniform on how excited they get about being here. So, there's something to be said about some newness, and it's going to be an exciting year, so we'll be ready for it. I promise you that we're going to do the very best that we possibly can out there.
I know you like to have McCoy and Philpott ready to go this weekend, but the three that you will be sending out there to start, how good do you feel about that rotation?
Well, I think it's a work in progress, in all honesty. I feel really good that Riley Goodman has, excuse me, there's but my tongue, that Riley Goodman clearly has the stuff to compete in the SEC and be maybe one of the top pitchers in conference play. He sits at 95, 96 miles an hour. He's got a really good slider. He's got a good changeup. For the most part, his control is really good. The only thing he lacks is experience. If Philpott and Jake were available, Riley probably wouldn't have started on the weekend, but probably would have started on Tuesday. And I would have been able to bring him along slowly, and eventually he would have worked his way into the rotation. I know I keep trying to knock that microphone out of your hand. Italians like to speak with their hands. I can't help it. It's hereditary. But anyway, but, you know, it is what it is. Riley's out, Philpott's out. So when I looked at our possible Friday guys, opening game guys, I just felt that Riley Goodman, you know, it's kind of like throwing the baby in the pool and teaching him to swim. I mean, he's got to gain the experience sooner or later, so he might as well right out of the gate. There's no question he's got the talent to do it. And he actually is a very poised and competitive young man. And I would be absolutely shocked if we don't see good out of him, not only this Friday, but in subsequent Fridays. You know, Amp and Brandon probably would not have been in the starting rotation. Amp would have still been competing for the starting rotation. But they both need to show that they can do it because their stuff is not as elite as Riley Goodman's is, and so they have to be a little bit more perfect. You know, they have to have good command. They got to put the ball not only in the strike zone but in good places in the strike zone. They got to change speeds, and you know, they're getting an opportunity to do it. But I can't say it's etched in stone. You know, this is a earn it business, and you have to go out there and you got to perform if you want to continue in that role, and they know that. You know, we have a couple of kids that actually I think probably are more deserving of being in the starting rotation than Amp and Brandon, and that's Alex Valentin and Josh Gunther. They've probably pitched better than those other two guys. But I know in these first couple of weeks, our starting pitching is no way going beyond 5 innings, at least this first week, and no way it's going beyond 5 innings or 75 pitches. It may only be 4 innings. So it's important to get off to a good start, I think. You know, you never like falling behind in games, but whether you fall behind or take the lead, the most important innings are the last 4 innings of the game if you want to win the game. And I feel really good about putting Gunther and Valentin in those situations, at least in a couple of the games. And so, you know, we're going to just kind of see how it works out. And I hope all of them pitch great, and it's a tough decision for me going forward.
Speaking of the late innings, how do you anticipate the closer situation shaking out? Is that something where it's like by committee to start the year, you go with Valentin and Gunther to close it out, or do you have someone in mind?
Well, Jay, to be honest with you, you know, I'm hoping that when we give the ball to Gunther tomorrow, he takes it to the finish line, whether it's 3, 4, 5 innings. And if he can't, then maybe Valentin will finish the first game. If Gunther can do it in the first game, then Valentin hopefully can do it in the second game. But if we've used them both and we haven't gotten to the finish line yet, I'm very confident guys like Cooper Parks and Zach Russell and Logan Prisco and Josh Gregoire and some of the other guys that are out there, you know, they're all very capable of doing the job. They're all going to be pitching. I mean, we have 5 games in 6 days, right? So, you know, we're going to need a lot of arms to be able to go out there and burn up some innings for us. So, you know, it'll be a little bit of a work by committee until people kind of assert themselves.
Okay, Palminary, South Carolina to play 2. Let's play 2. They'll play 2 tomorrow to open it up against Northern Kentucky. Rio Hisasume is the leader in the first round of the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am, 10 under par. Another strong outing for him, a 62. He's got a shot lead. Sam Burns and Keegan Bradley, of course, they play several different courses. Andrew Novak, a 65. He played Pebble Beach. Jordan Spieth, a 66. He played Spy Hill. Jacob Bridgman played Pebble Beach, 67. Roy McIlroy had a 68. Justin Rose had a 69, Scotty Scheffler 72, Lucas Glover had a 73. Hisasume is your leader at 62, top of the hour.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
From the Bart Fireside Studio, the solution for keeping you warm this winter.
This is 107 The Point.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. Lawmakers are heading for the exits following a failed Senate vote Thursday, all but guaranteeing the Department of Homeland Security shuts down early Saturday morning. Senate Majority Leader John Thune says Democrats surely cannot believe the White House will give in to all their demands.
Democrats are never going to get their full wish list. That's not the way this works. Republicans, for example, will not agree to measures that make it impossible for officers or law enforcement officers to do their jobs. But Democrats can build on the measures that Republicans have already agreed to if they actually engage in serious negotiations with the White House.
The bill was rejected 52-47, short of the 60 votes needed for passage. European allies at NATO on Thursday are downplaying concerns that the United States has stepped back from its leadership role of the world's biggest security organization. Correspondent Karen Shamas reports.
NATO defense ministers gathered at the NATO headquarters in Brussels. There was one face that was missing. U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. His no-show came after Secretary of State Marco Rubio skipped the last meeting of foreign ministers. German Defense Minister Boris Pistorius told reporters he's not disappointed.
It is his decision and his duties he has to fulfill.
The Trump administration has also pulled back from Ukraine, stopping deliveries of money and guns. I'm Karen Shamas.
The Environmental Protection Agency has revoked a key scientific finding that supported U.S. regulations on greenhouse gas emissions. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 669 points, the Nasdaq dropped 469. More on these stories at townhall.com.
They say timing is everything in the gold and silver markets, and it's true. Dennis Prager here for AmFed Coin and Bullion. Although you can buy at the right time, if you buy the wrong coins, you may not make a profit. When gold was $400 an ounce, many people were talked into buying high-grade old gold and silver collector's coins. Unfortunately, most of the people who bought these so-called semi-numismatic coins, like the $20 St. Gaudens and Liberty Head gold coins, have not broken even on their investment. Incredible, given that gold has risen approximately 525% since then. So while timing is everything, if you buy the wrong coins, the timing simply doesn't matter. Having a dealer who cares about positioning you in the right types of coins or bullion will mean more to your portfolio than anything else. That's why I deal with Nick Rovich and AmFed Coin and Bullion. Whether you're buying or selling, call 800-221-7694. That's 800-221-7694. Or go to AmericanFederal.com, AmericanFederal.com.
Google and Meta push back on addiction claims in a landmark social media trial. Correspondent Lisa Dwyer reports.
At the core of a landmark social media case in Los Angeles is a 20-year-old identified only by the initials KGM. The plaintiff argues that Instagram owner Meta and Google's YouTube intentionally design addictive features that cause harm to children who use the products, comparing social media platforms to casinos and addictive drugs. An attorney representing YouTube and Google says that KGM's 5-year average watch time was 29 minutes per day and just 1 minute 14 seconds using the infinite scroll feature on YouTube Shorts, noting that that can be disabled or modified to match your users' preferences. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
News and analysis at townhall.com. From Washington, I'm Keith Peters.
On Point Weather, brought to you by our friends at Palmetto State Armory.
On 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Clear and chilly this evening. A low temperature dipping down to 35. Tomorrow, another beautiful day. plentiful sunshine, a high temperature reaching 59. The weekend clouds up for us on Saturday for Valentine's Day with a warm temperature of 65. While on Sunday, it's a rainout. Showers off and on all day. I'm Cal Moss with your on-point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
From the Bart Fireside Studio, the solution for keeping you warm this winter.
This is 107 The Point. This is The Point. Make thepointradio.com. The Point.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number, 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now back to Phil and Chris with the second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
Okay, welcome back into Sports Talk Media Network. It's a big Thursday night edition. Good to have you with us. If you are just now joining us, we heard from Coach Paul Mainieri a little while ago, South Carolina baseball coach, looking ahead to the start of the season for the Gamecocks. Tomorrow with a doubleheader against Northern Kentucky. And we also heard from Brad Brownell in the first half hour, Tigers losing to Virginia Tech last night, and got his thoughts on that and why the Tigers went down to defeat at home. And, of course, they got to get ready to bounce back and take on Duke in Durham on Saturday afternoon. Should also mention, of course, college baseball opening up over the weekend. Coastal Carolina on Friday will be playing Fairfield. Of course, that'll be in Conway. So South Carolina, Northern Kentucky, excuse me, Clemson and Army, Coastal Carolina and Fairfield, and the College of Charleston also opening up. They'll be at home against Rutgers on Friday. So a little bit of the baseball, excuse me, a little bit of the baseball will be taking place beginning tomorrow. So I wanted to read this to you that I mentioned before we hit the break, and that is the apology that was posted on X by Devontae Miles, the South Carolina defensive tackle, who was arrested for marijuana possession charges, also had a firearm. Here's what he wrote, and I thought it was mature, big of him to write this. I want to sincerely apologize for my recent actions that led to my dismissal from the team. I take full responsibility for my behavior. There are no excuses for the decisions I made, and I understand that my actions did not meet the standard expected of a student athlete at USC. To the fans, you support the program with pride and passion. You deserve players who represent South Carolina the right way at all times. I am deeply sorry for letting you down and for bringing negative attention to a program that means so much to so many people. To my teammates, you are my brothers. I know my actions may have caused disappointment and distraction, and for that I truly apologize. You all deserve focus, unity, and accountability from every man in that locker room. Coach T-Rob and Coach Beamer, thank you for giving me the opportunity to be part of this program. I understand and respect the decision that was made. Being a Gamecock is a privilege, and I did not uphold that privilege the way I should have. Although my time with the team has come to an end, my love and respect for this program remain. I will use this experience as a turning point in my life. I am committed to growing from this, learning from my mistakes, and becoming a better man because of it. Thank you to everyone who supported me during my time here. I am sorry, and I will work every day to prove that this moment does not define my future. Devontae Miles. So he gets a gold star for that. I mean, how many folks do we see get in trouble with the law, get dismissed from a team, and you never hear anything from them? So took accountability for what he did. Somebody either got with him and said, you need to step up publicly and you need to manage this crisis management. You need to manage this crisis by putting out a statement, falling on the sword, and taking complete responsibility, which he did. And that would help him, assuming he can get through the legal tangle that he's in now. If he can get through that successfully, he may have a chance to continue his career somewhere else. Someone will look at this apology, will look at the words, hope that he's the one that wrote it and he means it, and that might defray some of the negativity that it would otherwise follow him by just being silent and not saying anything about it. So, yeah, I give him kudos for doing that, but he still has to deal with the legal issue that he is facing. Okay, it is time now to go hardcore on the hardwood with Coach Ken Potosnak.
Hardcore Hardwood with Ken Potosnak on Sports Talk.
All right, let's welcome in the Coach Ken Potosnak to Sports Talk once again. I think he's up in Pittsburgh. So welcome in, Coach. How are you?
A little chilly. How are you?
Hey, we're doing fine. You went to what game did you go to the other day? Was it a Pitt game or a Duquesne game? What'd you go to up there?
I did. I saw Pitt and SMU on Saturday, and actually on the way up, I saw my former boss in the North Carolina Tar Heels, Jeff Lebo, and playing Syracuse. So got to see some good ACC teams play.
Tell you how quickly the fortunes turn in basketball. North Carolina riding high last Saturday. They beat Duke. Very exciting moment. Then they go on the road and they lose to Miami, and then their best player has a broken hand now and is going to be out indefinitely. It can turn just that quick.
Well, when somebody like Caleb Wilson leaves your roster, the opportunity to have other people step up, that's really difficult this late in the year. So it'll be interesting to see how that's handled. I know it's happened to other teams in the country. I saw Kansas and Darren Peterson went through much the same, but that happened earlier in the year with some of his injuries. And so they've had a chance to play through some of that and, work their roster and get minutes for other guys. It'll be interesting to see how North Carolina comes out of it. I think they have Pitt this Saturday and certainly have to play Duke again and several other, key conference matchups, one against Clemson coming up next week as well.
Who do you like more, DeSanta or Peterson?
I probably like Peterson more than DeBansta. But Peterson, Wilson, DeBansta, in any order over the course of 10 or 12 years, they'll all probably be NBA All-Stars. So,
yeah. DeBansta is a guy that watching him a little bit and watching him against Clemson when they came back from that big rally, then watching him some since. God, he's so smooth. His ability to hang in the air, to cross the lane and hit that jumper right in the middle. He kind of reminds me of Len Bias in a lot of ways. Would you put him in that category, the type of player he is?
That would probably be a good comparison in some ways. Probably has a little bit more perimeter skill than Len Bias did, but certainly you're talking about a top three pick. No matter what order those three guys go in, they're certainly going to be long time NBA players. Caleb Wilson is averaging almost a double-double as a freshman at North Carolina, and that's never been done. And Darren Peterson, there's been games that he just puts on a scoring burst. It's really not seen very typically in college basketball. So all three of those have done it at a high level for their teams, and I think all three of them are 18, maybe 19 years old max. They're not 20-year-old freshmen.
So Clemson last night, coming off that trip to the West Coast where things went so well with the 2 wins, they come home, they get Virginia Tech, a team they're favored to beat, a team below them in the ACC. They're at home, da-da-da-da. They did have a couple of days to recover. They got back sometimes Sundays. They had Monday, Tuesday. I guess they gave them Monday off. Maybe they had a day to get ready. Brownell's not making any excuses about the West Coast trip having an impact last night, but what do you think from a guy that's traveled coast to coast for these games? Does it take it out of you?
Well, I think I mentioned it last week. I mean, going out west and having to be there all week, and with the time difference and so forth, for them to play like they did and get 2 wins, and particularly how they played at California against a good Cal team, to come out off the West Coast with 2 wins, you won't see that very often from ACC teams, probably other than Duke, who went out there and swept it. North Carolina went west and lost both. So, to get both of those and to be out there and to come home, they just sort of went into a little bit of a scoring drought again. They got to 66 points. I think 70 is the magic number for them. And, the credit has to go to Mike Young's Virginia Tech Hokies. They shot 11 of 21 from 3. And if you can go on the road and shoot 11 of 21 from 3 and, limit your turnovers, they turned it over 13 times, which is a little high. But shooting 11 of 21 from 3 versus Clemson's 5 of 16 ended up being the difference in the game.
Yeah. And you go into an opposing gym, you go perfect from the foul line as Virginia Tech did. I mean, that says something. What about Mike Young? What are your memories of going up against Mike Young in your Southern Conference days? He's at Wofford, and maybe you've seen him in some other places along the way. Well, your memories of preparing to play one of his teams.
Well, I will tell you, he was with Richard Johnson years ago, and Mike actually played at Emory Henry, and I played at Randolph-Macon in Virginia. So it goes way, way back. I mean, you're talking into the 1980s. And then certainly his Wofford transition from Division II into Division I. We played him at the Citadel in the early days of the Southern Conference when I was there in the 90s, then into Furman. So, as Mike went from Richard's assistant to head coach and, continually, developed along the way. He developed a lot of good teams and a lot of good players. And if there's one thing about a Mike Young team is they are going to be very good offensively. And that showed last night. 11 to 21 from 3. They run good offense. They get good shots. And, they're another team that's going to be right on the bubble moving into, the last 4 weeks here of the season. And they're not one of these high-paid teams. They're well coached. They're going to be in it every night. I hated for Virginia Tech. I mean, they lost on a half-court shot by 1 down at SMU several weeks ago. Those type of losses can catch up to you on Selection Sunday. But their team is good enough. They played well enough to beat an excellent Clemson team, and I think they'll be right in the mix at the end, particularly if they can get some key wins in the ACC tournament.
Clemson dropped to 33, fell 3 spots in the net after the loss last night. I mean, that's 2 home losses to ACC teams. They're currently behind them in the standings and beneath them in the net. And those are the kind of things that can cost you some valuable positioning for the NCAA tournament down the road, don't you think?
Yeah, all the different nets, all the different ranking systems, all those, I'm sure they play in to what your seed is and where you end up having to travel to play. But the thing I really like about Clemson is their defense is going to travel anywhere, and may have not been to the level they needed it to, particularly guarding the 3, but they know how to contest shots, and they'll do a better job of that. And they've got 2 huge games coming up here. I mean, to go back to back, I think they go Duke and North Carolina back to back.
No, those 2 road games. They've got a break in between them.
Oh, they do. Okay.
Yeah, they do have a break in between them. Yeah. The ACC is not that cruel. They're not that cruel to them. They've got Duke and Wake Forest back to back on the road.
Okay. Yeah. All right. They Duke to Wake, and then eventually to North Carolina.
Yeah.
And look, all 3 of those games in North Carolina are going to be very difficult games on the road. However, their defense is withstood a lot and will continuing forward. Some of their really close losses, whether it's North Carolina State in overtime or heartbreaker in Madison Square Garden to BYU. I mean, they're right there to win every game. So I think they'll have I think they'll have a good finish and certainly recover from the loss yesterday.
What do you think they have to do to beat Duke?
Wow. Duke, they're going to have to make them, score over top. Duke, with their lineup and their size, and particularly Boozer, they control the painted area, and they can really, they can drive it physically. Boozer can drive it from anywhere on the court. He can play with his back to the basket. They got great size up front. They can score at the rim. So, I think they'll have to keep the ball out of the paint, which they do a great job of, and they're going to have to, make Duke beat them over top, and whatever they need to fix in regards to, their three-point defense, I'm sure they will. And I think they'll have a great chance. And I said this even prior to, Caleb Wilson being out, but I think they'll have a great chance to win at North Carolina, given their style of play. And that hasn't happened very much. I think Brad broke the streak at maybe 60 years. And but I think they have the type of team that can go back there and win again moving forward. But obviously they got a lot of games before then.
All right, hardcore hardwood. Coach Ken Potosnak visiting with us here on Sports Talk. South Carolina having the midweek off, so they've had plenty of time to get ready to go down to Alabama on Saturday, and not going well for them right now. And they face another team that's physical, that can beat you up on the boards, and they're even catching the break because of the ruling this week that cost Alabama one of their big guys. So they're still going to face a very physical team in Alabama, and South Carolina just has not shown to this point, Coach, that they can match up with the bigger physical teams on their schedule.
Well, I think Alabama's got a well-paid roster, whether Bediako plays or not, and they've been a top 15 team in the country each of the past 4 or 5 seasons, and certainly are highly talented. And they've got a excellent front line. They got good guard play, and it will be a difficult matchup for South Carolina in Tuscaloosa. Given just their roster and their style of play, they're going to play an up and down game, and somehow South Carolina is going to have to limit the possessions and try to make it a little bit slower game. I don't think that game can get into the high 80s or 90s, and South Carolina can have a chance. They're going to have to play at South Carolina tempo to keep themselves in the game.
People like me who don't know a whole lot think that South Carolina can simply fix their basketball situation by taking the bulk of the money they have to spend, whether it's $4 or $5 million, and just pouring it into the best player they can get in the market, in particular a big guy, a dominant big guy. I mean, look what BYU did when they went out and got A.J. DeBansa. They put a lot of money into him. He had no other reason to go to BYU except for the fact that they were paying him so well. He could have gone anywhere where they were paying him that kind of money. Why can't South Carolina go out and get that kind of stud and then put in the pieces around him? You may not have the same level of player around him, but you have good complementary players, but you got that main guy right in there to lead you, to dominate. Can you not do that?
Well, I think the first thing has to start with a transparency of how much do teams really have to spend. And I would think that A.J. DeBansa is getting paid more personally than the entire South Carolina roster.
Yeah.
Now, does BYU have $15 million total so that they, the pieces around him, the Saunders kid is going to be an NBA 2 guard. He's a terrific player. He put 35 on Kansas at Kansas the other night. I had a chance to see that. So I think figuring out how much everybody has to spend, and then if you really want to give a true coaching comparison, and if you want to give Coach of the Year honors, and if you want to judge teams, I think everybody has to have the same amount of money to spend. However, even if everybody is relegated to just revenue share, if it ever got to that point, everybody gets 20% of the 22 million, meaning, each men's basketball team would get 4 to 5 million. If that was the case, then will the coaches themselves not find other ways to pay more? And that's probably either the issue, not only in the SEC, but nationwide, but the SEC has certainly had their time and day where that's been the case. So I guess, to be able to judge a team, whether it's South Carolina or anybody else in this day and age, is I'd like to find out how much money each team actually has to spend.
Mm-hmm.
And then if they all had equal amount, then it would come down to, evaluating not only the head coaches, but the staff, evaluating the right players, bringing the right players in, spending and allocating that money correctly. But I think the gap is so big between some teams now. You got some teams that have 4 or 5 million, and you got some teams in the SEC that are over 20 million. So I don't know how you can make a fair comparison or judge a coach just based on the current, time frame. But to your point, I think, Phil, it sounds like you and many others are looking for a good post player, maybe looking for a little bit more of an inside presence. And, you got to go find a way to get at least one. And I watched Pitt play the other day. Pitt's transfer, Sean Jackson, has been out. I mean, he's a 6'9", back to the basket scorer, defending rebounder. He checks all the boxes. He's been out the entire year. And Pitt, like many teams in the country, like USC, when you don't have one dominant player in the paint and have to go play a Florida that has 3 to 4, or Alabama has 2, or Kentucky, who has 2 to 3 right now, with one being injured and sitting over there, the transfer from Arizona State. It does get difficult, but I'm sure that's going to be a real big focus moving forward, is how can you allocate your money correctly to get the best big man who can produce numbers, either all defensively by shot blocking and rebounding, or maybe is a real great offensive threat. But trying to get the whole product, trying to get both offense and defense, from a 6'10" post player, you got a lot of competition and a lot of others with a lot of money.
Yeah. Coach, great stuff. We appreciate it. Have a great rest of your week and your travels. Be safe, and we'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, Phil. I appreciate it. Good talking to you guys.
You
Bye.
too, Coach. Coach Ken Potosnak, Hardcore Hoops, here on Sports Talk.
Hardcore Hoops. I'm gonna give you.
I think I kind of like that better than Hardcore Hardwood. I kind of like. You know what? I just changed the name.
You can't just change the name.
I changed the name in the middle of the program.
You can't do that. That's after the program.
Hardcore Hoops to Hardcore Hardwood.
Well, see, but
that's Hardcore Hoops on Hardcore Hardwood.
That causes an issue because the next segment we have is high school hoops. So unless we do high school hardwood, that doesn't sound right.
Don't get me confused. Winthrop, which is having a great year, they're going for their 19th win tonight, and they are leading at Gardner-Webb 33-23. Hofstra and the College of Charleston are deadlocked at 20. Charleston Southern is leading Presbyterian 27-18, and High Point, which is battling Winthrop for the Big South, 21-19 over Upstate. High Point is good once again. They're 22-4 so far this season. And coming up, the College of Charleston Coastal Carolina playing tonight at Louisiana. That game's going to tip off a little bit after 8 o'clock Eastern Time. You can go listen to the Coastal Network and listen to the pleasant tones of Chris Bergen, as he calls the play-by-play for Coastal Carolina tonight on the Chanticleer Sports Network. Clemson women, they play that's Clemson men. Clemson men playing Duke. When is that? Clemson. I think the Clemson women play tonight. Don't they play Georgia Tech tonight? Yeah, I think that's tonight at 8 o'clock. Georgia Tech and the Clemson women. And, of course, you got the South Carolina women heading down to Baton Rouge Saturday, 8:30. 8:30. That's funny. I guess it's not really funny. Which game you're going to watch, Gamecock fans? You got the South Carolina men playing Alabama at 8:30, the South Carolina women playing LSU at 8:30. Which game are you going to watch? I wonder. And we'll be back. Talk some high school hoops.
On Point Weather, brought to you by our friends at Palmetto State Armory.
On 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Clear and chilly this evening. A low temperature dipping down to 35. Tomorrow, another beautiful day. Plentiful sunshine. A high temperature reaching 59. The weekend clouds up for us on Saturday for Valentine's Day with a warm temperature of 65. While on Sunday, it's a rainout. Showers off and on all day. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
This week only, it's the Valentine's Day sale at Palmetto State Armory. Stop in today and shop our wide selection of firearms, ammo, clothing, outdoor equipment, and more. Find great deals on items like AR Upper as low as $189.99 or complete ARs as low as $419.99. Looking to start your next AR build? Find lower build kits as low as $79.99. The savings don't end there. Stop in today and shop all these great Valentine's Day deals and more at Palmetto State Armory, 3760 Fernandina Road, Columbia.
The White House. With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. The Trump administration says it is ending its massive immigration crackdown in Minnesota after weeks of angry mass protests, thousands of arrests, and 2 fatal shootings. Border Czar Tom Homan said Thursday that the operation has been a success and that it has made the state safer. The sweep targeting the Minneapolis-St. Paul area has led to more than 4,000 arrests. A shutdown for the Department of Homeland Security appears certain. Lawmakers in the House and Senate are set to leave Washington for a 10-day break while negotiating with the White House over Democrats' demands for new restrictions have stalled. The White House and Democrats have traded offers in recent days. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 669 points, the S&P lower by 108. This is SRN News.
Every Friday morning at 9 a.m. on The Point, join me, Chad Jordan, and my co-host Larry Jordan for the Palmetto Real Estate Pros. We'll help you out whether you're looking to buy, sell, or just learn all things real estate every Friday right here at 100.7 The Point.
Are you tired of that sinking feeling when the electric bill arrives? Does the phrase peak hours trigger anxiety and a headache? Do you suffer from chronic fatigue of watching your hard-earned money evaporate right into the power grid? You may be suffering from utility pain and anxiety disorder, or UPAD. Symptoms include sweating when running the AC, a fear of turning on lights, and a general feeling of powerlessness over your energy costs.
It's time for you to try Solarist from Ken at Broker Solar. Broker Solar isn't a temporary fix, but a lasting solution with cutting-edge solar technology designed to address high energy bills at their source. Many clients have experienced immediate relief from high monthly payments with reports of increased home value and greater financial freedom. Imagine a brighter future for your home and your wallet. Side effects include the freedom to use your appliances when you want and a powerful sense of energy independence. Broker Solar, a brighter outlook for your home and wallet. Call us now, 803-807-7417. That's 807-7417 or online at brokersolar.com.
You can count on hot summers in the Midlands.
You can count on those South Carolina roads biting.
And when you end up with a broken windshield, you can certainly count on Absolute Glass.
With one phone call, we can repair, replace, and recalibrate your car's windshield.
We'll handle the insurance calls, and for most folks, it won't cost you a dime to let us fix your windshield.
Absolute Glass has been voted Lexington's best for 15 years straight.
So call Absolute Glass at 951-7200.
Or find us online at absoluteglassinc.com.
And remember, if you can see through it, we can do it.
Hey honey, did you see this new insurance card for the state health plan? It has a big box pharmacies logo on it. Does that mean we have to switch pharmacies?
Nope, not at all. That logo's just on the card.
So we don't have to leave the pharmacy that treats us like family?
Exactly. We can keep the same great care from our local pharmacy.
True Pharmacy, the pharmacy that takes time to care. Come see us at our Columbia location at 623 Beltline Boulevard or in West Columbia at Triangle Pharmacy, 1239 D Avenue.
Join us Sunday mornings at 9 a.m. for The Pastor's Pulpit with Steve Williamson.
People say out of the side of their mouth, "Oh, I believe in God." And then you tell them what God's Word says about what they're doing.
9 a.m. Sunday morning for The Pastor's Pulpit.
Nothing better than supporting local farmers and getting the best of the best when it comes to beef. Did you know H&J Cattle Company now is a store you could shop at directly? Yep, 2074 Bethany Schoolhouse Road in Saluda. Highest quality beef. A nice drive out to the country and great playground for the kids. You can even get an ATV tour of the farm. Even have local honey, tallow, elderberry syrup, and beautiful home decor items. Online, it's HandJCattle.com or find us on Facebook, H+J Cattle. Better yet, come around and see us. H&J Cattle Company.
All I do is win, 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 no matter what. Got money on my mind, I can never get enough. And every time I step up in the building, everybody hands go up. And they stay there, and they say yeah.
Welcome back, Sports Talk Media Network. Big Thursday night, talking a lot of hoops, just covered the college scene. And now we're going to talk some high school basketball here around the state of South Carolina because it's getting close to playoff time in South Carolina. Let's welcome in Coach John Combs, South Carolina Basketball Coaches Association, and talk about what's happening out there with boys and girls basketball here in South Carolina. Coach, how are you?
I'm outstanding, Phil. Excited to be on Talk a Little South Carolina basketball with you.
Absolutely. So, where are we overall with the schedule? We're getting close, I know, to the start of the postseason. We have about how many more weeks before we get to postseason play?
Phil, we start postseason play on Monday, this coming Monday.
Oh, okay. So it's here.
It is here. I mean, tonight and tomorrow are the last regular season games for most people. It is crazy how quick this has gone. And with the crazy weather we had over the past couple of weeks, there's been some screwy things with the schedule. People having to play like 6 games in just less than 2 weeks. So it's a wild finish we have.
Yeah, I've noticed there's been a lot of games, like almost every night. So I figured that teams were trying to catch up games that were snowed out, iced out a few weeks ago.
Oh, absolutely. It's been a problem, especially for people in the upstate. I mean, they were out for a long period of time. They've been joking around. It's like the NBA schedule that they've had: play one night and travel, play the next day. But there's some really good basketball games going on to finish this season up.
Which ones have sort of got your attention going right now, as far as some of the region races for the boys and girls?
Well, I'll tell you one that I'm really excited for on the boys' side, and it's tonight. It's Riverside is going to James F. Burns High School, and those two are two of the top 5 teams in the state, and they just happen to be in the same region. You know, part of that, one of Riverside is Division II, and Burns is a Division I 5A opponent. I mean, Riverside is 22-3, and Burns is 21-4. I mean, it is going to be a phenomenal game tonight, and that whoever wins that game will decide that region race. So that is certainly one to look at and see who performs and wins tonight.
Mm-hmm. How about on the girls' side?
Well, the girls' side, they're finished. Can't think of one particular region race that is super close right now, but I would even say, I know our particular region, Blythewood's pretty much got that region locked up. They've done a really good job. I mean, there's, in the Low Country, Military Magnet, they're leading their region right now. They're 21-4. So I always try to spread the love a little bit between 1A and 5A. And so I would just tell people, go on social media, see who's got the best games going and what may be a good game to go see tomorrow night.
Yeah. Talking with Coach John Combs about high school basketball here across the state of South Carolina. So regions are wrapping up the region races. We no longer have region tournaments, right? We go right from the end of the regular season and playoff spots are determined, and we go right to the various state playoffs, correct?
That is correct. I don't believe, Phil, I'm getting old. I actually do remember the region tournaments back in the day.
Yeah.
Those are a lot of fun, but I don't believe any regions do that anymore, and I'm not entirely sure why they've done away with them. The one thing I do like that we have in 5A and 4A, there's they use an RPI formula to seed the playoffs in 5A and 4A. And so every game really matters, even if there's a game you're not involved in. So everybody, all the coaches and ADs, we're trying to figure out the brackets in 5A and 4A, where you might go. I mean, it could be one game that you're not even directly involved with that could change a seeding really quickly.
So as you around the state, regardless of right now who's playing for region championships, I know you put out your top 10 rankings for all the classes here recently. Share with us an opinion from you on some of the top teams ranked number one in the various classes, and kind of what's made those particular teams number one from what you know.
We'll start with the 1A boys right there at the bottom there. I mean, it's horse. I will tell you, there is a revolving group there with Horse Creek Academy, C.A. Johnson, and Bethune-Bowman. They're all right there. C.A. Johnson's played a very difficult schedule here in Columbia. The Horse Creek Academy's done very well themselves. And 2A boys, High Point. To me, 2A boys, High Point Academy's been number one, but Andrew Jackson's right there, very competitive as well. In 3A boys, Christchurch has pretty much been 1A most of the whole year. Loris, which you haven't heard about that a ton in the past, but they've got a very good basketball team. And then right behind there, in 3 or 4, you got Keenan and Fox Creek. Both of those are phenomenal teams, and they're in the same region, and they're still battling each other. And you got 4A boys. I mean, this is one, Dion Buffet, he's come back to Gray Collegiate. He's got his Gray Collegiate team, number one, looking really good. They're going to be a tough out, but North Augusta, they're phenomenal as well. And Wilson, they're ultra talented. So that will be very interesting. And 5A boys, I mean, 5A boys, I think, is a fascinating one. Number one is Riverside, and then you got number 2, Westwood. And, you take Division I, number 1 is Ridgeview, and then you got number 2 is West Ashley, 3, Dutch Fork, 4, Burns. I mean, the competitiveness in both Division I and Division II is so good. I don't even think Division I's better than Division II. They're both right there in, very competitive.
How do you like the split championships there for 5A?
Okay, this is a great. I will say this: I wish if you could go back and do it. I wish they would just call one 5A and one 6A. I like it as an AD from the perspective of it allows you to group teams closer together within the region. Like for us at Spring Valley, this particular year, it was great having, Westwood, Blythewood, us, and all in the same region. Now, next year, us and Westwood will not be in the same region because Westwood will be 4A, and we're just going to be a single 5A. So while I do like it, and I think there's some really cool things with it, I mean, there's a couple of regions. It's going to be more difficult to win a region championship than it is a state championship because of the split regions, because of Ridgeview and Westwood are both in the same region. Ridgeview's number 1 in D1, Westwood is number 2 in D2, and same with the region with Burns and Riverside. They're both top 2, top 3 teams in their respective classifications. So I like it. It makes for some challenging things, but I think it makes for some really good region competitions.
All right, let's go to the girls' side and kind of run through those top teams and what stands out about the teams ranked at the top so far.
Well, 1A girls, Military Magnet, we've talked about it. Coach Nathaniel Taylor, you can just – I don't even want to – I shouldn't say this, but I'll say it anyway. You don't put it in pencil. You just go ahead and put that thing in pen.
Really?
He's just done such a good job. Now that I said that, it's probably – I jinxed him. He's going to be probably really upset with me. But he just does such a good job with them. In 2A girls, Clinton, they've had a phenomenal year. Atlantic Collegiate's right there as well, along with Andrew Jackson. It's like kind of those 3 right there. Could be any of those. 3A girls, Walhalla, who won it last year, they're back on top. Coach Brian Winfrey does a phenomenal job with them as well. in 4A girls, you've got West Side, Coach Jackie Roberts, who's a Hall of Fame basketball coach, come back. She didn't coach them last year. She's back again. And you got North Augusta. It's kind of say, is North Augusta underrated at number 2? That's crazy to say. Anybody at number 2 is being underrated. But North Augusta's been just so good the past couple of years. And then you got South Point, Camden. I mean, that's a top-heavy classification. And then 5A Division II, North Myrtle Beach has been near the top pretty much the whole year. Goose Creek is right there at number 2, been there for most of the year. And Greenville, number 3, and Berkeley, who won it last year, is number 4. I mean, that's very deep as well. Then when you got Division I girls, Blythewood stumbled a little bit early, lost a few games, but they lost against really good competition. But now they're number 1 in D1, and Dorman's right behind them at number 2, and then Burns at number 3. How about that, Burns? You think about Burns. The Coach Fowler, Missy Fowler, the 3rd ranked in Division I in girls, and then Burns on the guys' side, coached by Lane Fowler, her husband. They're sitting at number 4. I mean, there could be, playing for state championships, the Fowler family. And then I didn't even talk about Colt Fowler, the player playing for Coach Lane Fowler at Burns. I think he could be one of the favorites to be 5A Player of the Year. That's a pretty good year for the Fowler family.
I'd like to be around their dinner table and hear their discussion on a nightly basis. What do you mean I should play more zone, honey? Yeah, I think you should play that 2-3 and don't get out there, spread out too much in man-to-man.
Oh, and they're phenomenal people, great basketball coaches. It's a great basketball family. I mean, I certainly pull for them, and it's going to be exciting to see how they do in the playoffs.
Yes, sir. We're going to be with you right on through the playoffs. So let's get everybody squared away on how the playoffs are going to work. Of course, you got home courts, and then it always gets it's been a little crazy with upstate, lower state. They're doing some things a little different this year, right?
Very, very different, and I actually applaud it. Well, first of all, I'm excited that the state championships are going to be back where they belong, in my opinion, Colonial Life Arena. March 5th and March 7th, we're going to have the state championship games back there, and I think that's where they belong. I certainly applaud the South Carolina High School League and the University of South Carolina for being able to work it out. I do realize it is an expensive proposition to open a big-time venue like that for high school basketball, but I think that's exactly where it belongs. But just before that, this is where it's going to be interesting. The upper state is going to be played at neutral site high school venues. The 2 teams that are involved, they've got to work it out. They've got to work out which gym to choose. Now, the lower state, this is why I thought this was interesting, the lower state's going back to the Florence Civic Center. So I think it will be really interesting. This will be almost a great case study to see, well, which one's right. I don't know if there's necessarily a right or wrong answer for that, but I think the atmosphere that's going to be in those neutral site high school gymnasiums is going to be incredible. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that, and I certainly applaud the high school league for listening to us coaches and us ADs about we need to do things a little bit differently. We made it a priority to push to try to get it back in Colonial Life Arena. And then not saying that we've had to have the upper state championships in Florence, which I don't think a lot of people thought that was a good idea.
No.
They tried it. It didn't work. So now we're trying something different. So I applaud them for that. And I'm hoping that's going to go well. But like I say, the playoffs start on Monday. Start on February 16th is the first round for one set of classifications, and February 17th, the other round. It's going to go quick.
Always does. I'm with you. I'm very happy that they got it back in the CLA. For the life of me, I can't understand why they in the upstate can't decide on one of the nice collegiate arenas and use that as your neutral site. Go to Wofford, go to Furman. They both have beautiful arenas.
They do. The biggest challenge, from the way I understand it, a lot of these colleges, they won't give up. They'll give up a day or two. But now you've got to have 3 consecutive days, and they're not willing to commit 3 days in advance, because many times this is when the conference championships could be happening. In some of these places, the conference championships could be hosted at their particular venue or a round or two. So that is one of the biggest challenges they faced. I mean, I do believe Dr. Singleton, they've contacted a lot of those, and that's really just scheduling is your biggest challenge right there.
All right, Coach. Well, I'm glad you brought us up to date. We're up to speed, and we'll be ready to rock and roll with the playoffs beginning next week, and we'll talk to you next Thursday.
I'm looking forward to it already. It'll be a lot of great information to share.
Thank you, Coach. Appreciate it very much.
Thank y'all.
Coach John Combs over at Spring Valley, the athletic director over there, longtime coach, of course, and involved with the South Carolina Basketball Coaches Association. Appreciate him being with us tonight to bring us up to date on what's been happening with high school basketball. Snuck up on me. I didn't realize that we were hitting the playoffs starting this soon. I guess it is the middle of February. Okay, we'll be back with recruiting.
If you missed the home equity line of credit offer from Founders Federal Credit Union, we have good news. The offer has been extended. But don't wait. You only have until February 28th to get up to $750 toward closing costs when you open a Founders HELOC. That's more in your pocket for home improvements, debt consolidation, major purchases, unexpected expenses, or a much-needed vacation. The possibilities are endless. Imagine starting a new year with financial flexibility and peace of mind. But hurry, this special offer ends February 28th. Save more and jumpstart your year. Plus, you'll enjoy competitive rates and flexible terms designed to fit your budget. Visit foundersfcu.com/HELOC for more information. Membership qualification required. Institution NMLS. Identifier number 410646. Equal housing lender. See website for details.
We're with Major Billy Downer of the Department of Natural Resources, and we're visiting at the brand new DNR offices at the State Farmers Market. Major, tell us more about this place.
That's right, Phil. The Department of Natural Resources has a new office located at the South Carolina Farmers Market. You can find us at 260D Epting Lane inside the Farmers Market grounds. Look for the DNR logo when you turn off of Highway 221 in West Columbia, or you can always go to the App Store on your Apple or Android device and look for Go Outdoors SC. Download the app and you can buy all of your license needs right there.
Visit GoOutdoorsSouthCarolina.com today.
There's a lot of things we take for granted in our lives. Your home's AC will run cool. Your drive-through coffee will be hot. And the car will start when it's time to take your kids to school. It's when things don't go as planned that you start thinking about who to call and where to turn. The good thing is, you can prepare for life's most difficult days by calling the Larry Lucas Agency today. Larry is a State Farm agent that has been taking care of people across South Carolina for more than 2 decades. You probably have insurance, but switching is easy, and bundling can save you hundreds or more. Most importantly, the Larry Lucas Agency can help you choose the protection you want at the price you want. All backed by South Carolina's #1 home and auto insurance company. Visit LarryLucasAgency.com today or give Larry a call at 803-799-1998. Like a good neighbor, Larry Lucas State Farm is there.
You've put in the work for your education. The extra early, extra late, extra work. That's because you understand education opens doors to better pay, better opportunities, and a better you. Being educated about playing the lottery is no different. It helps you be a better player, one who knows when to play and when to take a rain check. The lottery's a game, so let's keep it fun. Learn more at SCEducationLottery.com/betteryou.
Hi, Phil Kornblut here with our good friend George Bryan III, heard every Friday night on Birdies, Bogeys, and Biceps right here on Sports Talk. George, the Tsunami Bar, a very valuable tool for golfers. Why is that?
Well, the first thing that I say is the tempo. It's the only tool out there that allows the study of tension right from the first grab to be expressed, and rhythm and tempo is what makes the bar work, and it gives you something awfully special to keep those hands soft and get that rhythm going.
Learn more about Tsunami Bar technology by clicking on the digital ad on our website, SportsTalkSC.com, and save 5% by purchasing online using the promo code BBB5.
Just like in college basketball today,
Sometimes it's about who you bring in off the bench to provide that extra spark. At StraightUpSports.net, we're excited to announce the addition of Brett Friedlander, a longtime ACC insider columnist, to our all-star lineup that includes Bob Gillespie, Scott Kiefer, Mark Sturgis, and more. At StraightUpSports.net, it's always about the stories. Check out this all-star lineup at StraightUpSports.net or at Straight Up Sports on Facebook.
Make your plans now to get to the coast for the Palmetto State's premier baseball showcase. The Classic, March 5th through 8th at Mike Johnson Park in Georgetown. Now in its 36th year, the Classic features the best high school players and teams from across South Carolina. Don't miss your chance to see the state's top Major League Baseball prospects and title contenders at the Classic. Presented by Coastal Chevrolet Cadillac Nissan. There'll be games and contests, including a home run derby throughout the weekend. Visit theclassicgtown.com for tickets and more information. The Classic, showcasing South Carolina's finest in high school baseball, March 5th through the 8th in the state's best ballpark, Mike Johnson Park in Georgetown.
Play ball!
The Sports Talk Recruiting Report is sponsored by Seawell's Catering.
Let's get to it. It's the recruiting report tonight here on Sports Talk, brought to you by Seawell's. Closed today. I know you missed them. Back at it tomorrow with a daily luncheon buffet from 11 till 2 for only $15. Make your plans to get over there and enjoy a delicious daily luncheon buffet from Seawell's. And for that event coming up a little bit later on this year for you, you're making plans now. You're saying, Marge, who are we going to call to do the catering? Well, Ralph, call Seawell's at 803-771-7385, online at SeawellsCateringSC.com. Let them handle all the difficult tasks of putting together a great event for you from a catering standpoint. 803-771-7385. Is that the name of your girlfriend? Marge? Or is it Shirley?
It's neither.
So, last night, South Carolina defensive staff conducted a FaceTime meeting with safety Kennedy Green, 6'2", 195 of Douglasville, Georgia. And the Gamecocks were able to track him down at his school and visit with him before he jumped into a training session. Says it was a good meeting. They just chopped it up, talking some football. They talked about the situations and schemes and how you do different things, and very good conversation he said he had with the Gamecock coaching staff. In January, Shane Beamer and Clayton White, Torian Gray, and Deion Barnes visited with him, and he's made multiple visits to Columbia. So the Gamecocks are one of the three teams he's most focused on right now, along with Miami and Virginia Tech. He said at any time all of them are interchangeable. So he's going to get there to those schools for spring practices and then official visits. He hasn't set any dates yet for all of that. But he wants to take spring visits to USC, Miami, Virginia Tech, and Nebraska. Again, no dates have been set. He does have official visits set. South Carolina on May the 1st and Miami on June the 5th. He'll also go to Virginia Tech on an official date to be determined. South Carolina offered quarterback Jamison Roberts, 6'3", 195 of Saraland, Alabama. That's down near Mobile. That's where the Clemson punter, Jack Smith, came from, Saraland. Last season, he passed for 3,370 yards and 37 touchdowns. He rushed for 641 yards, 21 touchdowns. He was 219 of 300, 73%, 5 interceptions. He also has offers from Kentucky, Auburn, Ole Miss, UConn, Oklahoma, Duke, Northwestern, Syracuse, and others. South Carolina also offered offensive lineman Temi Elu, 6'5", 290 of Locust Grove, Georgia. Some other offers: Arkansas, Kentucky, Louisville, Florida State, Tennessee, Florida, Mississippi State, Georgia, LSU, Auburn, Nebraska, and others. South Carolina offered 2028 defensive tackle Prince Che, 6'4", 295, Thomasville, Georgia. Cornerback Keyshawn Telfair of Euclid, Ohio, sets officials to Clemson May 29th, Miami June 5th, Penn State June 12th. Wide receiver Lawrence Britt, 6'2", 185 of Memphis, scheduled an official visit to Clemson for May 29th. He's also got Missouri down for the following weekend. He's not yet been offered by Clemson, but he does have a bunch of other big offers. 44 catches, 696 yards, 12 touchdowns last season. Wide receiver Tay Walden, 6'2", 170 of Memphis, also scheduled for an official to Clemson May 29th and also scheduled to visit Missouri on June the 5th. Again, Clemson is not yet offered. He has other big-time offers. Last season, 42 catches for 912 yards, 10 touchdowns. He also had 5 interceptions. He broke up 17 passes. He had 1,460 all-purpose yards and 14 touchdowns. Clemson made the final 6 with offensive lineman Jimmy Callis of Pittsburgh, along with Ohio State, Georgia, LSU, Texas, and Miami. He's got officials to LSU April 17th, Georgia May 15th, and Texas June 5th. Wide receiver Jaden Kelly Murray of Oceanside Collegiate, planning spring visits to Illinois, Memphis, Virginia Tech, Michigan State, and Wake Forest. That'll do it for recruiting. That'll do it for Sports Talk on this big Thursday night. Thanks for being with us. Thank you, Plummer. Have a great night, everybody, and we'll see you tomorrow.